Hello and welcome to another weekly update. Hope you're doing well. Apologies in advance for any technical weirdness on this video. Fun excitement for me this week. Friday, I think it was. Turned my computer on, main sort of desktop computer, nothing happened. So that's a fun thing we're dealing with. So you're on the kind of backup rig right now. Hopefully it all sounds and looks mostly okay. Anyway, let's talk about things that we have going on this week. So there's a new way for developers in Microsoft Teams to better advertise what their app does ahead of time with a new hovercard experience. So this is going to be as people hover over the icon for your application in Teams, there's going to be a way to put in more information about what the application does. Currently today, you see the application, you see the developer, and I think you also see the list of permissions as well. Certainly kind of ahead of time before installing you do. I'm not sure if you do when you just hover over. I think you probably just see the name. But that's going to all change with this big hover over thing that's going to show up that developers can lean into. And basically it just needs you to update your manifest. So go look at the latest version of the manifest. This is currently in developer preview for Teams at the moment. So you can go take a look at it if you're interested. It's got some stuff in there. Like I say, you can sort of add features in that then get nicely rendered in this kind of heading detail sort of thing that shows up, underneath the main logo and description and the short description, or name and short description of the application. So this is all good. I think it's all good for discoverability, which often is the biggest problem with Teams applications. I think is users discovering them and then understanding what they do. I don't know if this kind of pretense is more aggressive rollout of agents into the Teams space. Obviously, agentic workflows is really important right now, really big topic. And obviously we have Ignite coming up as well. So there might be announcements around that. So this might be some sort of a precursor to that, just making it easier for users, maybe who've had applications kind of foisted on them that they didn't necessarily opt into themselves. This might be a good way for them to understand what it is they're looking at and where it comes from, and also what it can do. So that's all cool. Also happening, so there was fairly surprisingly big news in the Mac world this week, which I don't cover at all. Around something called EdgeLight, which was kind of a cool idea that just used your monitor to basically, as like a key light to sort of, or ring light, I suppose is a better one, a band like a circuit, like a rectangle round the sort of monitor, the top bit of the monitor, the outer edges of the monitor, to basically improve the lighting for your camera and give you a better video quality image. Not to be outdone by that, Scott Hanselman took that and vibe coded, in his own words, a WPF application that does almost exactly the same thing. So we can show you it's all open source, it's all in GitHub. I think he's got a photo here from the Mac version. Here you go. This is he's replaced it actually with a nice Windows version, which is nice. So you can kind of see what I mean. It puts this like white thing around the outside. And then the idea is that your Teams meeting or your, whatever your video conferencing software of choice, it goes in the middle, and it's just it brightens your face, which means that the video camera can do a better job of picking you up, and you get a sharper image. It's kind of a cool idea. It's kind of it's nice of Scott to have done this as a open source WPF app, because a couple of good reasons. I mean, firstly, you get to compete with all the Mac people now, which is nice. But secondly, I think it's good to look through these apps. So Scott is he's a good developer. He's a long-term developer. He's a senior role in Microsoft now, but still does a lot of development. An excellent follow on YouTube or podcasts. He's been blogging for a million years, and I think I spoke. He does a podcast with Mark Rasinovich as well, which I called out a couple of weeks ago, or maybe even last week, but I think it was the week before. Absolutely worth following. So I was really interested just to sort of see, okay, if Scott was going to vibe code a WPF app, what would it look like? Because this is a good, and he was talking about this actually, like vibe coding being really valuable to senior developers, because you know what it is you want to do. You're just using the AI to make it happen faster. So I was kind of interested in this. A couple of technologies in there that I didn't know about, especially the one for auto updating. I think that's kind of interesting. I'm going to look into that for my WPF apps, which I still have a few. And so, yeah, really interesting. kind of interesting as well that he chose WPF and not the Windows SDK to do this. Kind of interesting, I thought. But yeah, all around, definitely worth a look, and you might even end up using it as well, which is kind of cool. Okay, one more thing I think to tell you about, kind of a slow one this week, but that's to be entirely expected, I think, because we've got Ignite, which starts tomorrow, and I didn't do a agenda pick this week, or for this time round for this Ignite. I don't really. I mean, we can't. Like, I could have done, and honestly, it was mostly time. But really, as well, I think it's going to be interesting to see what kind of an Ignite this is. Starting with the keynote, I have heard rumors that Satya is not doing the keynote. I'm going to say rumors, it's just I haven't had a chance to look, and I heard someone say it, and I haven't had a chance to confirm it myself, but I'm sure it's true that Satya's not doing the keynote, which is interesting in itself. Obviously, a lot of AI, a lot of agentic behavior. Be interesting to see where it goes. And it'll be interesting to see what the big announcements are. This is a really rapidly moving space. I think Microsoft need to keep the momentum up. Can they keep the momentum up? I've spoken to a lot of people inside Microsoft who are pretty burnt out right now. And so it'll be interesting to see if they can keep that momentum going. They've done loads of really good stuff, and it's going to be, can they keep it up? We do have this, though, which is interesting, which obviously, I guess, possibly something that didn't quite make the Ignite cut, and so got released this week, which is that an Azure MCP server is now going to be built into Visual Studio 2026. So Visual Studio 2026 is out, I think. I can't remember if it's fully released. It might still be in beta. I guess it's still in beta because we're not in 2026 yet. But I might be wrong about that. Let me go check the blog post for you. So this is the announcement. So what this means is that it will be Visual Studio will now have much more access or understanding of Azure than it did before. And so you'll be able to use it to do all the annoying deployment parts that take all the time. So I really like this idea because it means that you can focus much more on just kind of doing the development side and doing the, making the thing, and then lean on AI a lot more to deploy the thing in a sensible way. So it's an MCP app. It does all sorts of things. Somewhere there's a whole list of screenshot. You can see all the things, all the tools that it has access to. And actually what I really like about this is that you get to filter them out as well. So you get to say, actually, I don't want it to be able to have access to do these things. I don't want it to necessarily, have access to create an Azure website, but I will let it create a GitHub action. Great idea. So this is exciting. I think I'm going to be trying to use this for my next project that goes to Azure for deployment, because I feel like it should be nice and easy then to get all that stuff set up without having to sort of do a whole load of back and forth. So that's all good as well. All right, like I say, kind of a quiet one this week, I think, going into Ignite. Yeah, Ignite keynote is tomorrow, sort of morning US time, afternoon UK time, and then there'll be big announcements tomorrow, and then drip feeding Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I imagine. So by the time it rolls around to next Monday, we should have a much clearer idea of what's going on, which means that hopefully next week's weekly update will just be a roundup of the Ignite news that I think is relevant. All sounds good. All right, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to bid you a good week, whatever it is you're doing, and hope you have a good one, and speak to you next time.